In today's video section, we are going to see how to add two numbers in Python. So these are the very easy steps. Let's learn step by step. First method is using plus operator. Here we will see how to add two numbers with user input, defining function that adds two numbers. We will add two numbers using the operator .add method, using lambda function, and by using recursive function. So now let's start one by one each and every method. First we will see how to add two numbers in Python with the help of first method, that is our simple way. We will add two numbers. So here let's see. We will use over here plus operator. So I'm just writing one comment over here. Add two numbers with plus operator. So here is a code. Here two numbers we will take as a variables, and we are going to add both variable with the help of plus operator. So first of all we will define that. So let's assume number 1. We will assign certain values over here. Second variable I'm taking over here and defining the value. So here you can see num1 and num2 are my two variable, and we are assigning the value for both the variable. Now we have to add these two numbers. Okay, so to add this number, here we are using plus operator. So third variable I am taking over here as a sum. So this variable will hold the addition of num1 and num2. And now after that we want to print the addition of these two numbers, the value we want to print. So for printing the value, we will mention over here print statement. Sum of this will print as it is num1 and num2. So these are my two variables which we have to piece. So whichever thing is in double quotes, it will print as it is. For example, sum of whichever value num variable is holding, it will print over here. This statement will print as it is. Number 2 variable, the value which hold, this statement will print as it is. And finally we want to print the value of addition. So that's why here I am giving sum. So let's save this and run this program. I'm just saving in my folder with the name add plus. So now run this. So see, sum of the value whichever num variable is holding, it is printing that. This statement is as it is, num2 ka value, and finally we are getting the addition of these two numbers. So this is the first method which we have seen by using the add operator. Now let's move towards the next option. So the second option, here we will see add two numbers with user input. So let's start with this. Now here I am going to show you program where we will add two numbers. Okay, so first we will ask over here user to enter their choice numbers. In first program, first code, we have seen num1 and num2 value we have assigned. Now here we are asking user to enter the input. Okay, so let's start with this. So num1 equal to input next num2 whichever statement you want, you can write it down over here. So here we have given num1, user will enter the value, and second variable we have given the second option over here. So now we want to add these two numbers. User might also enter the float number. Okay, so accordingly we have to assign the variable. So let's see that option also. For example, float num1 plus float num2. Now after this we want to display addition of num1 and num2. So it will print the value in float because here I have given the float. So let's display that sum. So to display the sum, we will enter over here print statement, the sum of, now we want to print the value also. So we will give like this way, is num1 comma num2 and answer is in some variable. Okay, so I hope all these things we have closed. Yes, now let's save this program. Now we will run this. So you can see here it is asking me to enter the value. So let's enter the value. Now already we have given the float, so we will use the floating values. So choice is yours. So here I am getting my answer. So this is the second method which we have seen. Within the first method, we have seen by using plus operator, here value we have given within the program. Within the second option, we have seen user input, means user is entering the value. Now we will move towards the next option, that is by using the function. So let's begin with this. Okay, so now here we will create one function. So same program, adding addition of two numbers, but this time we are going to use function. So here we can define function that will accept two integer and it will return their sum value. Okay, so let's move towards that. So first of all, we have to define a function that takes two integer values and it will return the sum of those two numbers. So let's define any name for your function. Variables we will assign over here. Now return statement will come over here. What we want to written? A plus B. Now, initializing the variables. So, let's initialize the variables with respective values. So, whichever values you want, you can assign over here. Now, over here, function calling and stores the result into sum of that two numbers. So, how we will do that? Let's see. Sum of two numbers equal to add num1 comma num2. Okay. After this, we want to print the result. So, to printing the result, print statement will come. Sum of first variable value, that is a 10, it get printed. Second variable value is, then their answer it will print over here. Then my dot operator, num1 comma num2 comma sum of, as it is how we have defined over here, numbers. This get closed over here. So let's save this program. Function. Now we will run this. Okay, here are some mistakes. I think I haven't closed this at the end. Yes, so we have to close this. First bracket is closing for this and last one is my print statement. Okay. So sum of 10 and 5 is 50. You can see here I want dot. Again we will run this. Yes. So this is another method through which we are doing addition of two numbers. Now let's move further. Add two numbers using operator dot. So here we will use add method. So let's begin with this. So here we will initialize again two variable num1 num2 and then we will find the sum using operator dot add method. So this we have to use over here by passing number1 and num2 as arguments, and we will assign to display the sum of these two variables. Okay. So let's start with the code. So first part, that is a num1. We will assign the value. Second variable with assigning value. Now here adding two numbers. How we will add? By using this method. So let's see over here. Import So you can see over here we are using this method. See, operator dot add, and this is my method where we have passed num1 and num2. See. Okay. So now after that we want to print the value. Initialization, process, now output. So output के लिए we will mention print statement sum of first variable value, then it will print second variable value, and finally we want to print the sum of these two variables. Then format within the bracket num1 comma num2 and sum. So this we have closed. Now let's save this program. And here we are using dot operator. So I will mention over here dot method. Now let's run this. So you can see the addition of these two numbers. Now let's move further. By using the lambda function. So let's start with this. Now here first of all we have to define lambda function to add two numbers. So we will define that add numbers equal to x comma y, x plus y. So here we are defining our lambda function. Now after that we will take two inputs from the user. So num1 assign the value, num2 assign the value. Now call the lambda function to add these two numbers. So we will store the answer in third variable, that is a result. Now add numbers. This is the name of my lambda function. So I'm just calling that function over here. Add numbers. And here my num1 comma num2. Okay. After that we want to print the result. So here my print statement will come. The sum of comma num1 comma. These statements are optional if you want, otherwise directly print the result also. Sorry. So this is my print statement. This will print the result. Here we have called the lambda function to add two numbers. Here it is take the input. Okay. Now let's start with the execution part. First of all we will save this with the name run this module. So you can see sum of 1 and 2 is 3. Now let's move further. Last method, that is recursive function. So let's start with recursive function. Now in this we will define recursive function to add two numbers, okay, by incrementing one number and decrementing the other. So user input two numbers and sum is calculated as well as displaying also. So let's define first of all recursive function. So the name of my function is add numbers recursive. Okay. Then my two variables we will define over here, x as well as y. So this functions we have defined over here. Now if statement will come, if y is equality to 0, it will return x. Then my else statement, it will return add numbers recursive. As it is, we have to write it down. Then x plus 1 comma y minus 1. So already I have told you, user input two numbers and it will calculate the sum. In this we are adding two numbers by incrementing one number and decrementing another one. So that's why we have mentioned this statement over here. Now we will take the inputs. So let's take the input. So first part, that is a num1, num2, assign the values. Now call the recursive function to add these two numbers. So answer will be stored within the result equal to add numbers recursive num1 comma num2. Now we want to print the result. So my print statement will come over here. So let's save this. Now we will run this module. Okay. Here comma is missing. So now I think everything is proper. Now we will run. Yes, so addition of these two numbers, it get display over here. So in this section, students, I have covered multiple programs to add two numbers in Python. So this is a very easy part. With the help of this multiple functionality we are using to add two numbers. Hope this is very useful for you. We will meet again in my next video sections. Thank you students for watching my video.